Hello friends and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick and today we're going to be checking out a game called Neon by Eric R. Thomas. This is a first-person platformer and it's filled with bright neon colors, as you can obviously tell by this title screen. If you've been with the channel for a while, you might know I have a proclivity for looking for the strangest and most odd out there games possible, and I am especially attracted to bright colors for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. My art sense apparently brings me in these directions, and we are presented today with a game that seems to be full of bouncing balls. I don't know, let's see if that has anything to do with the actual game, and we'll look at our credits real quickly. There we go, and let us jump right in and see what we can do. Alright, so we're going to be navigating some environments that are pretty abstract, pretty basic, to be honest with you. There's not a whole lot going on here geometry-wise. And I guess basically the primary goal is to try and learn exactly what the distance that our character can jump from and try and maximize those jumps whenever possible, because it looks like platforms have been placed specifically at distances to make things a little bit more difficult for us. I think we can do it. I have a bit of a thing for first-person platformers. I'm not sure where I got that, because a lot of the time they can actually be pretty frustrating if they're not done properly. But in this case, I feel like I have a decent sense of how my the mass of my character is going to feel. This is a Unity game, of course, so I feel like I've kind of gotten used to this from previous games. They have similar physics to them. What this orb is doing here, I'm not really sure. I figured I was going to pick it up and it would be a collectible, but that doesn't seem to be happening. So maybe that is a feature that is not implemented yet? I'm not sure. To be perfectly honest, the game graphically, I mean, it really seems about as basic as it could get. We're jumping across a series of boxes inside of a larger box. And yes, there is a little bit of a maze component here, but still, maybe could still use a little bit more polish. I'm not sure to what degree this is necessarily done. And the game didn't actually say anything about it being an alpha or beta or pre-release or anything like that where I found it, so not really sure what to make of this. But we're going to keep forging on and hope that we can find our way through this and see if things get harder as we get to later levels. So far, this has been pretty much fine. The first death was me just like not knowing how far I was going to jump on that first move. Alright, so it looks like we got to make our way around this obelisk in the center here, and then we're going to head up. And I don't think... Oh, you know what? The circles might be checkpoints then. That would actually make a lot of sense. I would totally want there to be some sort of visual or auditory feedback, though, if that's actually the case. Just have the ball change colors. Make it change green or red or whatever. Or even if it just disappears, that would actually count for something, right? And then when you reappear at that checkpoint, the checkpoint can be back again. That is, again, if that is what those actually are. But I'm pretty certain at this point that's got to be what it is, right? Not a lot of other things. If it's not a collectible... Yep, alright, that is what it is, so now I know. Thankfully, we can learn by doing in certain cases, and this is one of those cases. Music, I have to say, is pretty decent. I believe this was actually made by the developer as well. I kind of glanced quickly at the credits there. I thought it said someone associated with them was doing the music, and pretty good. Certainly outclassing the visuals, I hate to say. Not to be rude or anything, but it's a bit of a different world. So let's go a little bit higher here. Things are starting to get a little bit further apart. How do we proceed? I guess we got to make a big jump down. There we go. And we can skip that platform, and we'll go up one. That was like exactly the height that our character can jump up at. And it looks like we're most of the way there. There's just these few blue blocks that we've got to make our way up. And now we're suffering from that white mask experiment problem where the blue is sort of blending into the other blue. The shading that's happening on the left and right sides and, well, really all the edges of these platforms, it happens to be pretty much the same value as that larger obelisk that we're jumping up alongside of. And I don't know if, to what degree the mass of our character is going to prevent us from falling through these gaps, but it looks like we've actually made it all the way up. And we get the glowing ball at the end, which is our prize. I guess this is death if we fall off of this? Oh, okay. Sure, why not? So let's play the same game again, only with a variety of like spring green and orangey red platforms. See if this one's any more difficult. I mean, this is kind of a level design at its most base, right? This is really just plotting points on a linear progression and making it look a little less linear, but really we kind of all know there's really only one solution to get through this. At least I'm pretty sure there would be, right? I guess you could split things off, which actually maybe that's what's being done right here. Okay, there's one path that seems to lead up to the checkpoint, and the other path is just steps. Not sure why you'd want to take this one, because the other one honestly looks a little bit harder, but let's do this one instead. Oh, and then we get to walk up a slant. There haven't been a lot of slanted surfaces in this, so very good. I thought we were actually getting a little auditory checkpoint cue there, but evidently it was actually not that. It was just a cue in the music that happened to go off at the same time. So which one of these is closer to the checkpoint? I'm not really sure. We're going to hop up these sausage chunks, kind of what they look like, just cylinders hanging in the air, and see if this is going to get us to somewhere. I think this is going to be just fine, though. Oh, and that one's cut off at the side. Alright, so far so good. There's also not really like lives or continues or anything like that, so in this case, there's really not a whole lot holding the player back other than possible frustration, keeping them from finishing one of these levels. They're really not all that challenging, I guess, unless you're not that good at first-person platforming, which, granted, I might be a little bit better than average, I'm not sure. But again, it's also, I think, to do with the fact that I'm so used to the controls in these Unity games. They feel pretty similar from one game to the next. So on we go. Upward and upward more. How am I going to get up to... Oh, okay. I didn't realize there was a slant connecting all of those pieces, so we actually have to go back down to go back up. Bit of a strange winding path we're taking. You know, it honestly wouldn't take a whole lot to dress this up to make it look a little bit more interesting. If you just got rid of the just kind of a bland box that's encasing the whole area, put some parallaxing backgrounds, just made a skybox out of it, perhaps some dynamic lighting effects going on, at least have it, you know, cast some shadows occasionally, whether or not they're dynamic or not. Just having some shadows introduced into things could make things look a little bit more interesting. And since we're going for this, you know, vibrant, surreal look, you know, why not take it even further and dress the thing up and have there be even more platforms that you might necessarily not be able to walk on, which granted will make things maybe a little bit harder to look at in terms of pathfinding, but it will also probably make the presentation style look a little bit more interesting. Alright, so there's 2 levels down. Let's see if this... Oh, okay, this takes us on to a even kind of harder to look at level. Now we've got pink with blue platforms. So far, so good. So which way do I want to go here? There's a balance beam, so we'll go this way. Much larger platforms in this direction. I feel like if your biggest problem right now is walking along a thin balance beam in the first-person perspective, this might be a very difficult game for you, to be honest. So I don't know if these levels are really supposed to be getting harder. I almost feel like they've gotten easier. But we'll see as we keep going forward. And watch, this will be the cue for me to actually just fall right as soon as I've said that. These are actually substantially smaller platforms, so I guess there is some difficulty increase going on here. Also, why keep all the platforms the same color? You could have a whole, like, rainbow scheme going on, and actually this blue against the pink is kind of hurting my eyes a little bit. It's a burning blue. This is very, very bright and vivid. You know, it is kind of what I signed up for, though, to be perfectly honest, so I'm not really trash-talking the game for the colors. It's just, like, I feel like it has some potential with going with this sort of a visual motif. Why not take it to its furthest conclusion, right? Get the most out of it possible. Is there... I thought we were doing the chromatic aberration thing again around the edges, but I think that's just my eyes playing tricks on me. I see some, like, little remnants of possibly a darker color as I shift my viewpoint quickly. I think it's just the way the engine works, though. Alright, so I think I need to go one more up. Oh, that was about as close as you could possibly get to falling. And did I actually pass the checkpoint here? I guess we'll go back for it, because it's closer to me than going the long way, right? In case I do happen to fall, we might as well have this done. Oh, geez, well, there we go. I guess I am glad that I went back for it. The other thing that I would think would kind of make this even more entertaining is, instead of breaking it up into discrete levels, why not have this just be one massive tower with occasional, like, laser grids that if you fall, they act as the ground, and then as you reach certain checkpoints, things will just keep ascending with you, right? So you could differentiate things based on color. That would give you the option to introduce, you know, a possible time limit if you want to create a chunk or a section of the tower that becomes more difficult. And then it would give you an easier way to track your progress versus the whole of the game, right? And people find that usually really an entertaining proposition, being able to track your overall progress and goals. At least that's how I feel about these things. Whenever there's a tower, I get kind of excited, because it's like, well, here's the total end goal, and then you can kind of see how long you're going for the whole thing. And let's look down and get a viewpoint on everything here. It looks like, well, much more sparse than it actually probably would, or I would think it would look from being all the way up here. And there's still a little bit left to go, but not all that much. I'm not sure how many levels there are, so I guess we'll go to the end of this one, and if this is the end of the game, then I guess so be it. But I'm actually still having a pretty fun time, even though this is extremely basic. And that's kind of why I played it. I had a feeling just distilling the first-person platforming concept down to its most basic concept could still be fun, and it seems to be. So, you know, it speaks volumes for a concept like this, that it could still carry gameplay, even having so little going on. So I think we want to go... Okay, we can go this way and jump down, or just go this way and jump directly over to it. I guess we'll take the direct approach in this case. It might be the harder way, to be honest, because these look like platforms are further apart and kind of skinny, as well as they are seeming to vary a little bit in verticality. And there's that little bit of ghosting every time I jump on the platforms because of that bright, shining color that's almost making there be like a little bit of a blur to walking around. I don't know if that's maybe just my eyes or my computer refresh rate or maybe Unity. Who knows? Could be a lot of things. But the game is performing at, you know, 60 frames per second, which you kind of expect given basically just squares showing up everywhere. Oh, I win! Alright, so there's 3 levels. Now we know. Thank you for playing. And I guess that's going to be all there is today for Neon. So if you want to go check out this one, it is going to be available. Oh, I'm so awesome. Thank you so much for that, Eric R. Thomas. If you want to go try this, seriously... Oh, I'm trying to do my outro. You keep telling me how awesome I am. Well, thank you anyway. But if you want to go check this out, the link is going to be in the description. It's totally free. You can go ahead and grab it. Maybe see if you could do a speed run through it or something. That would be kind of fun to record your times. And that's another really easy thing you could add to the game to make it entertaining, is just have leaderboards and see if you could beat your best time in each level or in the entire game. Who knows? But plenty of options, and I could see the developer taking this further if he chose to. Not sure if this is still under development, like I said, but just in the off chance that it is, could be kind of a cool way to do it. And, you know, there's also a soundtrack available, so if you enjoyed the music, that is also an option for you. But that is going to do it for another episode, guys, so thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Please do leave your comments. I'd love to hear what you think about such a basic platforming proposition and what other directions you think that this could be taken in if you, would like to add your 2 cents on into that. And also, while you're in the description, if you want to go play the game, feel free to go check out my other social media links like my Facebook, my Twitter, my Twitch page where I stream live, and of course, indie-impressions.com, where I post every single day's Indie Impressions video, and they're all sorted and categorized over there. I won't get into a long outro today, but if you want to go visit, there's plenty of stuff. But that is going to do it for another episode, guys. Please be sure to come back again tomorrow. New episodes are every single day, so I'll see you back then, and I hope you have a lovely night. Talk to you later.